Long ago, when Israel turned from God, the Philistines ruled over them. But God had a plan. He chose a man to deliver Israel. Before Samson was born, an angel appeared to his mother, telling her he would be set apart as a Nazirite, never to cut his hair, drink wine, or touch anything unclean. His strength would come from God. As Samson grew, he became incredibly strong, able to tear apart a lion with his bare hands and defeat armies alone. However, Samson had a weakness. He followed his own desires instead of seeking God's wisdom. This flaw led him to pursue a Philistine woman, despite warnings from his parents, who knew that such a union was against their faith and could bring trouble. At their wedding, Samson challenged the Philistines with a riddle, confident in his cleverness. But when they tricked his wife into revealing the answer, Samson was furious. Feeling betrayed and humiliated, he stormed away in anger. Enraged by this betrayal, Samson sought revenge. He captured 300 foxes, tied their tails together in pairs, and attached torches to them. He then set the torches ablaze and released the foxes into the Philistine fields, burning their crops and igniting a conflict that would escalate into a war between Samson and the Philistines. Again and again, Samson fought the Philistines. Once, when surrounded by 1,000 warriors, he grabbed a donkey's jawbone and struck them all down. But despite his victories, he made reckless choices. Then came Delilah. The Philistine leaders bribed her to uncover Samson's secret. She pleaded with him. At first, Samson toyed with her, playing a dangerous game of deception. Delilah, with her honeyed words and feigned affection, begged him to reveal the secret of his incredible strength. At first, Samson toyed with her, giving false answers. "Tie me with fresh bowstrings," he said. She did, and when the Philistines attacked, he snapped them like threads. Again she asked, and again he deceived her. But Delilah was relentless. She wore him down. At last, exhausted, he confessed, "My strength comes from God, and as long as my hair remains uncut, I cannot be defeated." That night, while he slept, Delilah betrayed him. When Samson awoke, he expected to fight as before. But this time the Lord had left him. Samson was shocked to find that his strength was now gone. The Philistines eagerly seized him, their long-awaited victory finally in their grasp. They gouged out his eyes, stripping him not only of his sight, but of his power, his pride, and his place as Israel's mighty champion. Bound in heavy chains, Samson was dragged through the streets, a once feared warrior now reduced to a spectacle of shame. They threw him into the depths of a dark prison, where the echoes of laughter and mockery filled the air. Day after day he toiled in misery, forced to grind grain like a common slave. But even in the suffocating darkness, Samson's spirit was not fully crushed, but his soul began to stir. And as time passed, something remarkable happened. His hair, once the symbol of his divine calling, began to grow again. With each strand, so too did the embers of his faith, whispering of a strength that was never truly lost. He turned his heart back to God, the very source of his power that he had long taken for granted. One day the Philistines held a great feast to celebrate their god, Dagon. They brought Samson out to mock him, to parade him before their people as a trophy. But Samson whispered a final prayer. "Lord, remember me, strengthen me just once more, that I may take vengeance on my enemies." Led by a young servant, Samson placed his hands on the great pillars of the temple. He pushed with all his might. The pillars cracked, the walls trembled. And in one final act of God-given strength, Samson brought the temple crashing down, killing thousands of Philistines, including their leaders. In death, he destroyed more of his enemies than he had in his entire life. Samson's story is one of incredible power, yet tragic weakness. He was chosen by God, yet he often chose his own way. But even when he fell, God's mercy remained. His life teaches us a powerful lesson. Strength without wisdom is dangerous. But even in our lowest moments, when we humble ourselves and turn back to God, He is always ready to hear us, and He is always ready to restore us.